It is Tuesday, December 9th, right here on your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson, and this is 365 Sports Longhorns, brought to you by 365. A little bit of a rebrand. Going to get a little bit of time to getting used to it, but we're having a good time here. All right. Since we last spoke to everybody, the college football playoffs have been revealed. Jake and I will go through that a little bit, but more importantly, we've got some pretty big portal news for the Texas Longhorns. Anthony Hill going into the NFL draft. He has declared, that's no surprise, he will be the first of a handful of Longhorns to at least enter into the draft. I don't think, Jake, bless you, and I appreciate you hitting the mute button before you got that off. But I imagine that this class for the Longhorns, the draft class won't be as extensive as it has been the last 2 years. That's just my gut feeling on the matter.
I mean, it's just a fact.
Yeah.
There's just not as many players that are going to be going pro. I mean, guys that are going to get drafted. Anthony Hill, let's assume Manny Muhammad, DJ Campbell, Michael Taff.
Is there anyone else?
Cole Brevard, very possibly.
What about Burke?
Like a later.
Burke, what do we?
I imagine he will. I would think he'd get drafted. His film is
he
good.
Can stay, right?
No,
he's a senior. He's senior.
Yeah.
Okay. Burke's film in the last month of the season, I think, is good enough.
Burke's film is just really good. He was so underappreciated a lot of his career.
Kind of reminds me of an Alfred Collins in terms of his draft ability, and Alfred Collins is playing damn good football for the 49ers this year.
Kind of almost Baron Sorrell-like, too.
Yeah.
Baron Sorrell was never fully appreciated for the work that he did.
Yeah.
And Burke was a guy that always showed up in the big games too. He's a underrated, talked about just like big, because Edge is so stacked next year. Yes, but he is a guy that you're going to miss. But a lot of your young stuff, Jelani McDonald's the big name. Like that's the name that you got to get to stay.
Yeah.
Unless he's just adamant on going pro. Hopefully you can talk him into staying.
Cole Hudson, I doubt he gets drafted unless it's late.
No, he won't be drafted. He won't be drafted. I'm not even. Maybe he gets undrafted. He's not 53 man or borderline not practice squad.
Yeah,
his flexibility could get him on a practice squad for sure. But yeah, you're not gonna have near. I mean, Gooseby sounds more and more like he's possibly going to be staying. He would be a higher round guy, like top 2 rounds. But I think he wants to stay and try to really confirm himself as a first round, maybe top 10, top 15 pick.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just don't have as many guys going pro, but that comes with being a much younger team this year because you had so many guys go pro the last couple of years. And Texas needs to have a lighter year to the NFL draft this year because they need a bunch of guys returning. Arch Manning, I think it's safe to assume he's going to be back. And not going pro. You're returning. You're going to be returning a really good amount of talent. Now, obviously, you're going to lose plenty to the portal. I think this year we're going to lose more to the portal than we've seen in several years. I think that is going to be by design. Cedric Baxter is already announced to the portal.
Trey Owens.
Yeah, Trey Owens. Ricky Stewart. Just imagine a matter of hours until that comes out.
I think it was, what's his first name?
Melvin Hills,
the defensive lineman. So 3 on the transfer portal already. 1 is declared for the draft early, which would be Anthony Hill. And I imagine this is the world that I think Anthony Hill falls into. He'll probably be a top 5 linebacker in this year's class, if not a little bit higher. I imagine late first round, early second round. At the very latest, I could see him slip and fall to the middle of the second round.
The fact that there's a chance he could go in the second round to me is blasphemous.
But I mean, that's just the nature.
No, that's where he's being mocked right now. I'll be curious to see if that changes. But at the same time,
if he's there with Dallas's second pick, then we take him.
Damn near would consider it not consider it. I would take him with the first round pick with the Green Bay Packers pick.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the second first pick.
Second pick.
The second overall pick that Dallas has.
Yeah, 100%. He's a top 15 talent. I know this draft's a little more loaded. I think Arvell Reed, I think it's fair to call him the number one linebacker. I don't think the gap between him and Hill is just that large.
And then Terrion York, where is he? Is he going? I'm assuming the draft. I'm assuming he's going to jump in.
The draft. I think he may have to.
Yeah. I don't know what year he is, years. But I would imagine York is going to be a top 3, 4, 5 linebacker.
Yeah, I probably have him right behind Hill, honestly. Yeah. But I just think Anthony Hill has a special skill set for the NFL specifically. His speed. He reminds me of a Roquan Smith in many ways, but can line up on the edge. Now, he's probably not as good of a pure linebacker as Roquan Smith, but his skill set reminds me of that. The speed, the versatility, the change of direction, how sure of a tackler he is, his effectiveness blitzing. But then you can also bring him off the edge. He could come off the edge in packages in the NFL too. He's been doing that at Texas for a while. So he's a guy that I expect to fall further than he should in the draft, to say the least.
But I imagine he or Manny Muhammad, depending on what Manny Muhammad is going to do, assuming that Manny Muhammad.
There are talks. I have seen talks that Texas is going to try.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll work. I think he has been in the mindset. I think if he stayed an extra year, he could go from he's a first-round talent. He just doesn't. Ironically, part of the reason he doesn't have the first-round production is because no one threw it to him. Yeah. For 3 years, no one threw it to his side.
Scouts will look at that and be like, yeah, he's just that damn good. That's why. It's
hopefully. He's a first-round talent.
Jalen Ramsey, I think, had 2 career interceptions in college. That's because nobody even went to that side of the field. So I would imagine if both Manny Muhammad and Anthony Hill, those will be the top 2 guys for the Texas Longhorns in this year's draft. And I would assume maybe Manny Muhammad over Hill, maybe. But I would think both borderline first rounders flirting with the second round.
Yeah. So I don't, you're going to lose probably. I don't know. You're still going to have more guys drafted than Texas was having drafted before Sarkisian. It's just going to be a very down year for the Steve Sarkisian era.
I don't think that that's a bad thing. You've had 2 straight years where you set record numbers.
No, Texas is still going to be in the top 3 of teams with players drafted in the last 3 years, even when you count this down year.
Yeah.
So Texas just fine, but it's good. They got a lot of guys to return, and we'll just kind of have to keep watching kind of the portal to see who all enters. I think running back is one to keep an eye on. James Simon, Christian Clark, Wisner, what are they doing?
Yeah.
With Derek Cooper coming in, with possibly trying to find more.
It could be a complete overhaul.
In the portal.
Could be a complete overhaul at running back.
More than just Cedric Baxter and presumably Ricky Stewart leaving. CJ Baxter, big loss, by the way, just leadership wise. I really hope he succeeds wherever he goes. His Texas career will always,
unless it's Oklahoma, I'd rather not. But
probably not going to go to an SEC school because then you can't start. Year next year. But
he's probably going Big Ten or ACC.
Yeah, sad to see him go though, just from a leadership perspective, and just because his Texas career is nothing he did wrong. It was nothing Texas did wrong. It was just a really bad injury that. He wasn't able to come back the same this year, and Texas is just not in a position to gamble on him being a starting running back next year. They got to have a surefire guy.
No, yeah. But you're right. The conversation around CJ Baxter shouldn't just end as in, good riddance. We don't need you here. No, the presence lost from him will be felt in the locker room with that leadership. And so he was always a favorite of mine. Again, I wish he could have bounced back and had a more productive season this year. That also had a lot to do with just inconsistent and bad offensive line play in the run blocking scheme. And so it didn't all fall on Baxter's shoulders with the lack of his production. But again, like you said, I hope he has another year to rehab. I hope he has a year to play and start somewhere else, whether that be in the ACC or the Big Ten or the Big 12. But yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of see and follow his career next season and wherever that might be. Trey Owens also leaving. I assume that he's going to try to find a UTSA, or he's going to try to find a place where he can be a year one starter, Tulane, one of these G5 teams that maybe possibly have a chance at competing for a playoff spot as a G5. We have two of those this year.
He's a good fit because he's a Texas kid.
Yeah. So
I believe McCown is done as well. So
after 7 years of playing at UTSA, I would hope that he's done. Yeah.
He's been in college longer than his dad was in the NFL.
Something about those McCown genes, man. They just stay wherever they're at. They stay there forever. But yeah, so I would hope that Trey Owens finds a spot where he can start and maybe lead a G5 team to a playoff run. That would be super cool to see. With all that being said, Jake, we also have, we haven't even talked Texas-Michigan Cheez-It Bowl. So that was announced as well over the weekend since we last all spoke. And I am, and we'll get to this, I'm sure, with the playoffs being revealed and us talking about the playoffs. I love Sark's response to Notre Dame sitting out of their bowl game, quitting their bowl game because they were sore losers. And then a reporter asked Sark on how he felt about playing in the Cheez-It Bowl against Michigan, and his response was just about as perfect as it could be.
Yeah, and it's a response that makes sense, just about, it's valuable time to get more practice in, get young guys playing time. And just about kind of
team chemistry, momentum going into the offseason.
Closing out the season on a strong point as well. And that's what I like about Sark. He handles those moments really well. I do think it's pathetic by Notre Dame to cry about not making the playoffs when Miami got in over them, who they lost to. Their best win was USC. Miami's best win was Notre Dame. That's all that needs to be said. I would say the same thing. Texas not getting in makes sense because Miami beat Florida about a week or two before Texas lost to them.
Yeah.
That matters. Is Texas a better team than Miami right now? I think so. Does that matter? No.
No, the final record does.
My problem was always going to be if Notre Dame got in over Texas or Now, I would sit here and argue that Texas should be in over an OU, but there's no point because OU safely in.
I think I can almost make a better argument over Alabama than anybody. And the committee,
problem with that is they lost the SEC title game.
The committee doesn't want to set the precedence that you get punished for losing a conference championship game. They said it last year, even with Texas and the other championship games. SMU and Clemson both got in last year in the ACC championship game. And so, they don't want to set the precedence that if you make a conference championship game and you lose that conference championship game as a top 12 team, BYU obviously doesn't count, then you aren't going to lose a playoff spot because of it.
Also, Bama beat Georgia at Georgia. That matters.
Sure. But I could see an argument for a 3-loss Bama team, including the conference championship, who lost to a really bad Florida State team, a 5-win Florida State team, lost to an Oklahoma team that Texas did beat, and then loses to a Georgia team that also Texas lost to as well. But it was
the tough thing there is the Bama beating Georgia at Georgia, Texas getting blown out by Georgia at Georgia, cancels out. And then you're not going to punish them for the SEC title game. Yeah. I agree with you. There's an argument to be made there, but the way it worked out, there isn't, unfortunately. I think OU's the one you have an argument over. Their schedule didn't end up being near as tough as everyone thought it would be, including as tough as we thought it would be. And Texas ironically ended up being one of the toughest schedules in the SEC.
It sure did. Yeah.
That said, for Texas not making the playoff, with how bad it felt during certain points of the season. We talked about them like not being a bowl team at one point.
Jake, we talked about them not being a top 25 team after the Florida game. We said they're not a top 25 team. They don't need to be in the top 25. And then Mississippi State is like, oh gosh, that was like nails on a chalkboard, just scratching and clawing your way to a victory there. And then the Kentucky game, I think, the Kentucky game may have been the lowest point of the season for me, Jake. I know they won that game, but that felt about as low as it could get.
Kentucky's a much worse team than Mississippi State.
Yeah, and they're also way worse than Florida, in my opinion. I would think a Florida team is more capable of beating anybody than a Kentucky
From a
team
talent
is.
perspective, it's night and day.
Yeah. So so that to me was like, oh boy, we got a long season ahead of us. And then they come out and they beat a Vanderbilt team, and it kind of just whatever happened in the Mississippi State game going into the Vanderbilt game, something clicked for the offense, which what I was kind of hoping for when you and I were kind of in our doomsday scenario with Florida, and then you beat OU, but then you're struggling against Kentucky. Of what I'm hoping happens, and I said this very mid-season after Florida, I said what I hope happens is that this team eventually gets to a point to where they figure some things out. They're a young team. They play with one another. They end the season on a high note, beating Arkansas and beating A&M, going into a bowl game against Michigan, winning that game. That would end the season going off on a high note, going into the offseason with a lot of momentum. A little bit different than last year where you struggled against Arizona State, playoff game, big game, should have got a great win. I'm not going to complain about that win by any means. But then you go and then you lose the next game. So you're ending your season on a loss. It's a little bit of a different momentum going into the offseason with, I think, maybe a little bit more optimism and a little bit more just knowing what the team is going to be next year compared to what going into this year was. No one really knew what this team was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, the big question is going to be how much can they improve the offensive line through the portal,
and the missing pieces on defense that they're gonna miss.
There's some defensive, but the hope is the offense is going to be next year should be the best offense that Steve Sarkisian has had at Texas. You have an Arch Manning who has found his groove. You're going to have a stacked wide receiver core, and that's before we see any possible portal additions. That was the tongue twister. And then you're going to have, one of the best running backs in the recruiting class coming in, who a lot of people think will make early impact. Sark's already said they're going to go out and find a immediate impact player at running back as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and you're going to rebuild your offensive line. So in the offensive line, you hopefully are set at tackles. Brett, not talked about enough by me. This is on me. Hand up, I take responsibility. Not giving Baker enough credit down the stretch of the season for how much he improved and he wasn't really all that bad to start the year. I don't think at any point I ever said Baker's just unplayable right now. I think the Florida game, I was like, okay, that was Baker's like welcome to the SEC type moment. After that, Baker just got better and better. The penalties got less and less.
Yeah,
he was playing really good ball.
The penalties across the offensive line got much better throughout the season.
Once they got the correct 5, which Kyle Flood should have found week 2, it was better. Again, the offensive line that many people, not just me, but I said I have record of it. Like week 3 or something like that. Sounds probably, or maybe in week 2, I said, how is your best 5 not just Connor Robertson, Cole Hudson left guard? Like if Neto truly is just unplayable, which for whatever reason he was, then how is that not your best 5? And then they finally figured it out having to figure it out through an injury, essentially.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk a little underdog. We'll continue this conversation on the other side of it. We'll talk a little underdog when we come back. Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code HORNS to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code HORNS. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 18 and up. 19 and up in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 and up, and in Colorado for some games. 21 and up in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And must be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Jake, I had a great week on Underdog this week. It started on Thursday night where I had a big one with a Lamb, Montgomery, and Ferguson entry paid out at about $87. And then I hit the lower on the BYU Texas Tech game. I hit the lower on the Indiana Ohio State game. And then in the NFL, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins on the NFL on my 6 picks. I went 5-1 on Sunday with my entries from Underdog over the weekend. That's the full football weekend. Got a good little payout because of it, and probably one of my best, if not my absolute best weekend all football season. I'm finally starting to get the hang of it. If people want to ride the hot hand before it gets cold, ice cold again.
Yeah, no, this is where you fade your next picks. Yeah, I really just kind of sprinkled some. I had it in if I actually had the same exact Cowboys-Lions game ticket as you with Lamb, Montgomery, and Ferguson. And so that one worked out well for me as well. I also had the under in Ohio State, Indiana. That just felt like that was one of the few where it's like, I feel about as close to 100% confident as I can.
I think if the line was set at about 25, I probably still would have taken the under.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just one of those games.
I last second put Duke to win. I just like right before the game, I was like, this is going to happen for the pure chaos of the playoff. Duke is going to win. So I hit on that one. I hit on Texas Tech over BYU. That game was everything that I thought it would be. And then I also hit on Georgia. Because I said on the podcast out loud, I will not predict Georgia to win. My money spoke differently because I thought Georgia was a much better football team and a much different team than they were earlier in the year. And so that did work out. Sometimes you gotta speak with your money in private and say the things out loud that kind of cover your ass.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what the Georgia-Alabama game was for me.
Love it. All right, Jake. Texas Longhorns women's volleyball. They make it to the Sweet 16. They're playing Indiana. They won their first 2, completely swept Penn State, I believe, in the second round. So they'll be playing Indiana. I believe all top 4 seeds have advanced except for Cal Poly, who was a lower seeded, I think a double-digit seeded team. They are now in the Sweet 16. They've kind of made a little Cinderella run of their own. First ever Sweet 16 appearance for Cal Poly, and they play the number 1 overall seed, Kentucky.
Yeah, this is where, don't forget, you're coming down to Kansas City if they get to the national championship game.
Yeah.
I will find the episode. You said it. There will be no backing out of it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it up again to get you on record once again.
I think that weekend is the 21st, December 21st, whatever that is. So
I don't really care what weekend it is. Yeah. I just know that you will be here if Texas can make that run. So I'm locked in on the Lady Longhorns getting this deep run, and they are very much a national championship capable team. They have showed that this year. The SEC championship loss stung a lot, but that game definitely could have gone the other way as well. So you got to hope that, they can kind of continue this run. We kind of knew they would make the Sweet 16, just being honest there. But not dropping a single set. That's good to see, kind of, being in that dominant form. Penn State is, a ranked level team. I think they're number 25 in the nation. And so that's a big win. And now, you have the regional semifinal still in Austin. So you gotta win these games in Austin. You got, home court for these games. That's a really big advantage to have. You got to take care of business against Indiana and then whoever they will play after the Indiana game.
Texas basketball men's side, they beat Southern 95-69 as they were supposed to. This Friday, ladies and gentlemen, they play UConn. They go on the road to play UConn, number 5 in the country. That's at 7 o'clock. It's going to be aired on Fox. So support your Longhorns there. And then on the women's side of things, they're still rolling. I don't even think they've come close really to losing or to dropping a game. Beat Prairie View A&M 101-42 following the North Carolina win that we talked about. So, yeah, they play Rio Grande, and then they get into they play Baylor at the Sprouts Farmers Market Invitational. So a little preseason or pre-conference season little tournament action there, and they start off against Baylor, who's number 13 in the country. So they play UT Rio Grande, and then they've got Baylor on Sunday, this Sunday afternoon. So a couple big games for the Longhorns, both women's and men's side of things, along with volleyball, who is now in the Sweet 16. So a lot of important sports going on. Texas will be preparing for Michigan on the gridiron. So yeah, that's kind of the rundown as where we are as an athletic program. So a lot of athletics that Jake and I have got to keep up with. We'll give you all the news on this podcast, but I think for today's episode, that about wraps up everything we wanted to talk about. That's Jake Jimerson. I'm Tanner Carlson. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We're going to be releasing these episodes instead of 5 days a week. We'll be going Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And then so three episodes every week, and we'll kind of continue that train. And we decided on that because you've got basketball Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights, and then you've got big games on the weekends as well that we can give immediate reactions to if need be. So for Jake Jimerson, I'm Tanner Carlson. As always, ladies and gentlemen, hook 'em.